problems, but at the same time solves old ones. Now if I came to you and said, look, I've got a brand new innovation, it's quite dangerous, can kill people, can kill women and children, but I think it's really powerful and fantastic. Do you follow the EU's precautionary principle, which is until you've checked out every side of this risk and really convinced us that it will not be a risk not only now but for future generations, really you shouldn't go ahead with that innovation? Or do you say, no, we'll give it a whirl, we're a bit worried about safety, especially in killing people, but we'll give it a try? If I tell you the innovation is fire 80,000 years ago, and it's the thing that brought people out of Africa to Europe, which was much colder than Africa in those days, then I think you'd agree that, yeah, it does kill people, especially in Australia right now, but that it was worth giving a whirl. And why is it that we no longer have that kind of sense of risk-taking around? Well, the sensibility to risk has been individualised and privatised, really beginning with Thatcher in this country. If you're a forecaster, as I am, I'm sure David will confirm it, you have to collect and suspect other people's forecasts. So here's The Guardian, which as we know runs the government, in 1989, saying that you would all be dead from mad cow disease by now. And EU scientists said this, so it must be right. They all agreed that. And if you look at all the things that we worry about, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it's what the lady at the back has. Hello? Am I that boring? Or is it just that party you were at last night? I think we're going to focus the fan on you, madam. There we are. Technological solution. Anorexia. Anybody know about orthorexia? Just in the papers this week. Obsessive eating of the right foods. That's really a problem. Binge drinking. Computer games make you obese. Disco TB, the tuberculosis you pick up at the discotheque at Birkbeck. Deep vein thrombosis, flights, and also computer use. Environmental tobacco smoke will skip the falling sperm counts. We all know somebody who's died from genetically modified food, and in fact I think we should set up a campaign in their memory. There's all of this, phthalates. Anybody know phthalate? Anybody got a drink?
E211, is that?
No, that's an E
sodium benzoate mixed with liquid solution.
No, phthalates are a particular kind of plastic that you can find in the Apple iPod. And the EU has determined that if you sit in a bath and lick a rubber duck with phthalates in it for 200 years, you become a laboratory rat. So watch out for them, they're everywhere. Southern infant death syndrome, vitamin C, too little is a problem, too much is a problem. Now what's the striking thing about headlines like this and all of this individualised sort of worry that, swine flu...
Numbers.
Sorry?
No numbers.
No numbers, what, in the chart or
in the headline? There's no indication of the quantities involved.
That's right, like swine flu.
Yeah. But millions is a number in the headline there.
Yeah, millions, yeah, there is there. But the proportions are actually very low, right? That's the first thing. We need to remember that when surgery was developed, people died when surgeons experimented. Bad thing, very sad, but that was actually quite a modest price to pay for technological advance. But the really striking thing about it is, actually, we've never been healthier in the West. Life expectancy is on the up. Healthy life expectancy of men is approaching that of women. People are taller, everybody's going Dutch, they'll have to redesign those Boeing 777s. And if I look around the room, there's nobody who's obese, although I bound to say to the women in the room, George Clooney, if you go by the stupid body mass index, is clinically obese, and Brad Pitt is overweight. So, in fact, we've never been healthier. And until recently in sub-Saharan Africa, life expectancy has been improving even there. So why is it that we are all scared we're going to die so much? We worry that Tamiflu is going to screw us up, even more than swine flu. Why is all of this? I think If you go back to the founding mother of environmentalism, how many of you have read this book? Good man, Simon Spring.
I've also read, what was the book that actually popularised her? The one by, he wrote 3 books. One was about the fear of overpopulation, one was about The Sheep Look Up by John Bruner, basically, which is the one that popularised, although people read Silent Spring, was that book.
Soylent Green.
No, it's The Sheep Look Up by John Bruner, basically, a world where everyone has to wear a gas mask to walk out the door.
You find Silent Spring itself popularised itself more than John Bruner book.
I'll take those references at the end if I may, yeah, because I'd like to write. Soylent Green is a science fiction movie.
Yes, it's still more based on a book.
That's it. Well, if you read that book, she says that DDT is really the greatest threat to mankind next to nuclear Armageddon. As a result, DDT has been banned, and Africans today have to make do largely with mosquito nets, as if mosquitoes only struck at night. Yes?
No, what's her name?
Rachel Carson, I'm sorry, yeah, Rachel Carson, forgive me. And we enter here, and it's covered in the book, a very interesting period in post-war American history, which I strongly recommend you study. From 1957, the launch of Sputnik, which sent a panic through the United States, to 1963 and the assassination of Kennedy. Nearly all the main ideas promulgated by environmentalists today, hostile to consumption, hostile to waste, against planned obsolescence, against advertising and consumerism, worried about the planet and all of these things, actually emerge in that period. It's really when dissent in the Cold War United States first reached a crescendo. And it was a very difficult period for the United States. Cuban Missile Crisis, Berlin Wall goes up, all of this stuff. Second real thought leader in that period was Thomas Kuhn, Structure of Scientific Revolutions. And if not him, certainly his followers and the hippies from that era felt that what he had shown was that there was no objective progress involved in the movement from Ptolemy to Galileo. That it was just a clash of ideologies. Galileo faked his results. He just got a load of people around him who agreed with him. It was much more like a sort of party political struggle than the objective progress of science. Kuhn didn't quite say that, but lots of other people after him did. And it was rather an important view, the whatever that we hear from kids today, that it all depends on your point of view, in some ways comes from that era. Then here's another man, very important, Marshall McLuhan. The medium is the massage, or the message. Form is more important than content. It's the channel you're in, rather than what you're saying, that is really the most influential. And the final, he was Canadian, the final North American, important here, is Ralph Nader, the presidential candidate nobody heard about last year. He wrote this for The Nation, which is the United States version of The New Statesman. And he was critical of America's love affair with the car. This was around 59, and then he published this important book, 65 in fact, just outside my period, but the heat was on cars from then, criticising the car and the whole safety around it. So really in that era, ladies and gentlemen, you had, we are wrecking the planet, science is not progressing and it does not really represent progress. Media is really important. No wonder we've got so many media studies graduates in this country rather than engineers. And cars, bad news. Obviously there's some element of truth in all of those things. What I find really striking is how much anti-consumerist Greens today repeat all of these doctrines without the sophistication of the old guys who first promulgated them, and also believing very much that they've just discovered this brilliant truth. If you read Galbraith, The Affluent Society from the same period, which we deal with in the book, it's very much part of the same thing. So when we move forward, I think there's just one thing to remember about this. Obviously the sensibility to the defects of society of the early 60s, the worry that we are wrecking the planet, that there was a threat to the planet as big as nuclear war, you have to go through many stages before you reach today's obsession with climate change and today's view that